What are your crimes, Mark? Yes, what are your crimes, Mark? Did you beat your wife? Did you kick a pup? Well, find your crimes or make it up. Did you laugh at Hubbard? That's not nice, and now you'll have to pay your price. So what are your crimes, Mark? What have you done? Oh, it's too late now. Fair game's begun.
The intergalactic, where am I? Hey, everybody, here I am. What do you know? I was about to say, the very clever, the intergalactic crimes at Xenu TV Broadcasting Center. This entire sector of the galaxy, by the way, is where we operate. But there's no crimes being committed here. The only criminal area you can find is around Scientology. And there's been some massive quiver in the force that has shocked the nation and the galaxy, let's face it. As David Miscavige said, all right, I'm taking my ball and I'm going home. Take this off the agenda for tonight's Clearwater City meeting. We are not going to ask the city tonight to sell us a block of Garden Street. We're not going to do that tonight because we know we're going to lose. So please forget that we asked for now. We're going to come back again. We're going to ask again, and we're going to prove to you, we'll prove without a shadow of a doubt that this block is far too dangerous to allow traffic to go down it. Really, we're going to have to create some studies that prove that, but that's our contention. You'd be crazy to allow the public to drive down this section of Garden Street. Oh my God! There's gigantic sinkholes that are opening up, swallowing whole cars. There's giant alligators that are assaulting the town and dragging off women and children. Biker gangs, bank robberies, aliens from outer space. Oh my God, this is the worst possible street for anybody to be on, except, of course, for us. We can handle it. Once we put up the L. Ron Hubbard Hall and we close down this street, this is going to be the safest street on the planet. Trust us. It's what we say about everything. Trust us. Everything will be fine. When had we ever lied to you? It was a remarkable turn of events to wake up today to discover, hey, we've withdrawn this from the agenda. We, the powerful Church of Scientology, we don't want to show up there and lose, for God's sake. No, we're going to come back. We're going to convince you that we're your only hope. And here's the thing. They say they're going to come back and prove just how dangerous the block is. I think it's only really dangerous to members of the Clearwater City Council. I think they're kind of threatening them. You know, you give us this block or you won't believe the amount of danger you are in. And I don't think it's going to work. I don't think they can possibly come back and convince, okay, you could probably convince Ryan and Mike that under no conditions should they vote against Scientology. But I don't think any study that Scientology produces is going to be able to show that Garden Street, this quiet little street that people use, including the mayor and Lena Shera, council member, they drive down it every day, according to them. And they feel that this street is important for downtown Clearwater, and it should not be turned over to Scientology to block off, to make it a nice valet parking area for the beautiful L. Ron Hubbard Hall and the L. Ron Hubbard Park just adjacent to it. So I'm assuming that you are all up to speed on this, and you know exactly what I've been talking about because you're a loyal viewer of Xenu TV. Let me take a moment here from my pontificating to see who's here. Hey, Lupita's here. How are you, Lupita? The thumbnail is fantastic. Thank you. I'm glad you like it. I had to get a shot of Miscavige as a crossing guard, trying to stop people from going down the street. Let's see who else is here. And that's why I was a little bit late hitting the air with this broadcast, I tell you, because I was saying, no, that's not right. Well, it's still not right, but it'll do. See, I'm a stickler for perfection. And once in a blue moon, I actually achieve it. Let's see. John. John is here. Hello, John. I don't know that I've seen you here before, John. You're welcome to you, by the way. But I'm used to seeing names like Farrell Cheryl. Hello, how are you? Isn't this awesome? She says, we're ecstatic. Just popping in to share the good vibes before we head to the airport. Well, you have a nice trip. I'm glad you stopped by. It is indeed exciting. The saga is not over yet, though. People have to understand this is just a pause, and this is all going to kick in again because Miscavige has not given up. The Journey 2020. Hi, everyone. One less property not going on the map. Nice to see you. Elk of Antioch, of course, is here. Saying as always, hail, oops, where'd it go? Hail Emperor Xenu, and hail his loyal officer of the 3rd Invader Force. Thank you. JB808, Mr. Wise Beard Man, and Kelly, we both say hello back to you. Marcy, Mark, Kelly, Lapita, Journey, and Cheryl have a great flight home. That's nice of you to wish her bon voyage. Missy B and Seth D. Should that be Missy B and Sethy D? Has anyone looked into the title angle? Not that I'm aware of. Does it matter to me? Not to you is here. Hello to you. And, Fat Grammy's here. Making it official. She is here. Matthew Faustini, welcome to you. SB, from SP to SB, welcome to you. And congrats to you all, he says. Or she says. All right. And let's see. It's always something is here. Hey everyone. Jamie Castro. Lily Scissorhands. Yes, I got an email from you today. Thank you. Good. Lena. Lily says that Lena returned her email and said she is standing with her vote against it. And I would hope all three of the no votes, she, the mayor, and David Albritton, will stick with their no vote. The Journey 2020 says they didn't want an affirmed no on the record. I think you're correct. There is no need for them to have the road. Don't see anything Scientology can give the city that they want for it. Well, I mean, clearly what they were hoping to convince the city was that they could do this fantastic renovation of the entire downtown. And they don't say it, but really all along, ever since 2017, it has been, you give us this property and we'll revitalize downtown for you. Really, we will. At that point, it was the property that the aquarium was going to go on downtown. Now it's, hey, you give us Garden Street and we'll completely redevelop downtown for you. It'll be on us. Trust us. It'll be fantastic. Last thing you should do is trust Scientology. So it's interesting that they did say, oh, just take it off. Take it off. No, well, we don't want to vote on it. No. And they told the city, we're going to come back and prove to you how dangerous the street is. So good luck to them. Missy B says, David Albritton. Oh, there we go again. Here we go. David Albritton's comments at that work meeting were absolutely fantastic. They were, and he's been strong like that in the past. So I'm glad that he decided to give him that no vote. I hope he knows just how much that means and how thankful his city and the world is. I would hope he's aware of it. I know he probably is not getting good feedback, all along. I mean, right now, I'm sure everybody around him is supremely happy that he decided this way. But I'm sure that there was a lot of pressure on him from non-Scientologists in the city. What do you mean you want to give him the street? And he's been saying, yeah, but you didn't see the plan I saw. You should see the hour-long presentation we got. And when Miscavige refused to show the hour-long presentation that the council members got, then he said, well, no, in that case, no, I'm not going to vote for it. But I do know for a fact that there are people very, very close to him that are not fans of Scientology. And I won't say more than that. But, it's not an easy vote for David, I would imagine, simply because he's got people in his family who are opposed to Scientology, and then he's got his son-in-law who's on the council now who said, yes, we have to do this. Yes, Scientology, well, it's just like any other church. We have to get along with them. Yes, it'll be wonderful. So I'm sure, dinner conversations are difficult from time to time. Let's see. Journey 2020, Scientology has not shown they can bring visitors in and are not even interested in doing that. They push visitors out with their members only. You can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig. And I think that is besmirching the names of pigs everywhere. Those pigs actually are very nice people. They will cause many, many accidents between now and then. And when they bring this back to vote, I hope no Scientologists go for putting themselves in danger that way for Dave. Yes, by God's sakes, do not venture onto that block of Garden Street, because they're going to be waiting in the shrubbery to just speed out on their motorcycles and on their, all their security vehicles. So, like they hunt people down at the Gold Base. I mean, I've seen this. Yeah, I've been out there to Gold, walking on the street outside the fence, and then we suddenly see the security on their motorcycles behind the shrubs, just following us everywhere, and then speeding off to, we've got an SP here. An SP, well, you can't see it because we got this amazing message here. I'm going to hide that. There, you see, I proved it. I'm an SP. I know you've seen this. Yeah, I know you know what it said, but I had to show it anyway. Chick says, "Will they still consider the other proposal?" Here's my feeling. I don't think so. I mean, I did get a question from somebody today. Well, does this mean that that Save the Garden wins and that they're going to be approved at the meeting tonight for their project? No, is the one thing that the city council made clear at the work session was they don't want to sell the road. They, they think it should remain a 2-lane road. And they asked Brooks Gibbs from Save the Garden about that. Lena Tashia was the council member who said, do you need to block off one side? Can you just do this, on the sidewalks? And Brooks, to his credit, said, well, sure, we can work something out. Not the message that you get from Scientology. You give it to us or else. And Brooks said, sure, we'll work with you. This is our presentation. We had to come up with it on quick notice when we discovered the day before the vote that this was happening last month at one of the meetings. So they put together a very quick proposal and went back and amended it. And if it comes back to the city, and I hope it does, that there can be some greater life for it. Probably not on Garden Street, as my feeling is I can't talk. But my feeling is, the city wants to keep it a working street. But that does not mean to say that there is not a spot in the Garden Street area where a greater project on that same idea takes place. So we've got like the Pinellas Trail, which goes miles and miles and miles for people to ride and bike. There can be something that is longer than one small block that is set aside for this tribute to the Garden Street Business District. And it doesn't need to be there and probably won't be there, but I would hope that that this project can stay alive and grow from that and become something really special. And if Scientology had any sense to them, they would say, you know what? We're going to help you with that. Here's $1 million for the CRA in the North Greenwood district to kind of renovate or rejuvenate the entire neighborhood, and money for this whole project saluting Garden Street. That's what they should do. And of course they won't, because they believe in beyond anything else, we make the able more able. And if you're not able to pay for their courses, they're not interested in you. They'll check with you next lifetime. If you come back and you're more able and you have a lot of money in the bank, we'll help you then. Let's see. Hey, Mark and everyone, says Kay. Am I the only one that gets so happy when they see Mark's new thumbnails for his live videos? Well, I know I'm happy. I'm thrilled whenever I have something done. I go, oh, thank God. Now I can put this up and I can get this thing started. Because you have no idea how many variations you have to whip up to that. It's not right. Just keep going. That'll do. But I'm glad you're enjoying them. Boom. It's always something says, think they should lease the land to keep Scientology from having everything on both sides. They will then petition to close the street all the time to safely get people across Garden Street. Yeah, they want desperately to shut down Garden Street. But I tell you what, if they want to have the what do they call that parking? Looking at a fellow who's really tired. Valet parking. Thank you. If they want the valet parking for the events, all they have to do is get a permit, and they can block off Garden Street and say, okay, everybody come in this way. You can't go on Court, but come in here. You can go right up front, drop your people off, and leave. And the rest of the time, it's a working street. Okay? That's doable. But does Scientology want that? No. No. As Sarah Heller from the Office of Special Affairs said in her presentation, it's one project. You can't possibly do it cannot be done without having Garden Street as part of the project. We've got the L. Ron Hubbard Hall, the majestic, beautiful L. Ron Hubbard Hall. Everybody bow down before it. Oh my God, it's a breathtaking, beautiful building. And then we've got the L. Ron Hubbard Park right across. We can't cross the street to get to it, for God's sakes. Think of the children. Oh my God, they'll be swallowed up whole by the sinkholes and the alligators and everything. Oh my God, it's not, I think the city could probably say, I tell you what, you know how we have those flashing lights out in front of the Fort Harrison so you can get between the Fort Harrison and the Superpower building? You push the button, they go bleep, 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 and cars stop for you to let you go, even though you've got an above ground, walkway, so you don't even have to come out on the street to stop the traffic. I think they could put one of those on Garden Street. In the rare chance that a car might be coming down the street as you want to go over to the park, push the button, beep, 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 lights flash, everybody's happy. Except the damn motorist who has to sit there for two people to walk across the street. Really? You're going to go see the L. Ron Hubbard Monument? You're going to look at the 21 precepts from the Way of Happiness? We have to sit here for that? All right. Well, I guess I won't run you over. If there wasn't a flashing light, I might. Just insane. Just insane. Oh, we can't do it. We can't do it if we don't have the street. Ah! It's too dangerous. It says it's always something. To have the entrance on the west end of the property, valet will back up onto Court or the Fort Harrison. Put the entrance at the parking garage end. In fact, let's put the entrance over in Largo. Perfect spot for it. You want an L. Ron Hubbard Hall? Oh, yeah, we just moved that to the next city. You have to drive over there, okay? What a boon to the economy that would be for Largo. I'm sure they'd like to get in on some of this action. I don't know why Kelly has to remind you to do this, people. Don't forget to hit the like. For God's sakes, you should be sitting there pounding on that like button. Why let up on it, for God's sakes? Or at least, if I'm boring you to tears, fall asleep on it. So it's like until, the next morning. Matthew must live in Largo. No, thank you. Leave Largo alone. Well, I don't want to give it to Dunedin. Dunedin is too happening. Largo could use a little something. I got to tell you, though, Largo has, if you're driving down Missouri Avenue, which is the street that I pretty much live on, and you get to Largo, they have a really nice little display of lights that at nighttime especially, it's very nice. You go, oh, welcome to Largo. That is very nice. And you know what? I bet it was incredibly inexpensive, but it looks great. Do we have something like that? No. We've got the Superpower building. Let's see. It's always something says, I don't want to see L. Ron Hubbard in big letters or little letters. I don't want to see him in Braille. Keep L. Ron Hubbard away from here. It's because the chat covers up the like, and then we get enthralled by you, Mark. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, let's AT check. I'm taking off the chat. Now, everyone can hit the like. Sorry that you had to go. And Rathazinu is saying hello from Canada to everyone. And that includes you, Matthew Faustini, saying hello to you as well. Marcy saying hello to Professor. I don't know if I missed Professor or if it's a professor that I should be aware is a professor. Rib Guy says shared and like from both accounts. God bless you. Create some more accounts, everybody. Why stick with just two? Okay. Professor Kakan joining in. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and set notifications to all. Thank you, because I never remember to say that. I need to stay on top of this, but you know, Kelly is the person who makes it possible for me to just completely forget all about that. And it's nice that the rest of you pick up the slack here. So as I was saying, you know, someone out there had asked, does this mean that Save the Garden wins? No, but I did see, just as I was getting ready to do this tonight, I got an email several hours ago. I had a few emails like that as I was trying to deal with the rest of my life. I got one from Tony saying, hey, you want to do a video tonight? And so, well, I'm actually doing one. By the time I saw it, I'm actually setting up to do one right now. And then I got this notice from the Save the Garden people that Brooks made a victory announcement video. And hey, you know what? I've got it ready to go right here if you want to see it. I think it's worth watching. Join me now, won't you, as we take a look at this latest message from Brooks.
Congratulations, everyone. We saved the garden. You know, for over a year and a half, Church of Scientology has been negotiating with the city of Clearwater about 3 properties, and to ultimately convince them to vacate and sell the first property, South Garden Avenue. Public only heard about it a few months ago when the city created 2 agenda items to be voted on. The first agenda item was ID 9812-25, and that was a request to vacate or give up South Garden Avenue. Then the second agenda item was ID 25-0263, and that was ultimately to declare as surplus and sell the property to the Church of Scientology. It was Mike Mastroserio who brought it to Kelly Meyer's attention, who then brought it to my wife's attention, who then brought it to my attention. I want you to think about that. This incredible Save the Garden movement began when one man, Mike Mastroserio, said, hey, we've got to stop it. You see, that's the way it goes. And that's the first lesson I learned in this journey. Lesson number 1, all it takes is one to start a movement. And when my wife approached me about the Church of Scientology attempting to purchase South Garden Avenue, I was hesitant at first. I was deep into major projects at work. I wasn't sure if I had the bandwidth to take it on. But I've learned that when my wife asks me to do something, she's already considered all of that. So I asked her directly, are you really asking me to do this? And she nodded. And I said, okay. And that's lesson number 2 I learned. When someone asks you to get involved, do it. My first step was to explore our legal options. And we basically had 2 choices. Number 1, attend the next city council meeting and protest the street vacation publicly within my 3 minutes of allotted time for comment. Or number 2, I submit an alternative use proposal in case the city did decide to vacate the land and declare it as surplus. So we decided to choose the latter. But truthfully, I had no idea what to propose. So I began watching recordings of every council meeting and every public comment tied to this issue, hoping for some sort of inspiration. And that's when I heard Barbara Story Love of the Clearwater African American Foundation. She spoke during the March 17th council meeting. She shared a forgotten story about The Garden, one of 3 historically Black self-sustaining communities that thrived during segregation. But unlike Greenwood and the Heights, The Garden has largely vanished from public memory. It existed on Garden Avenue, which is a long road directly tied to the South Garden Avenue road the city was about to vacate. And that brings me to lesson number 3. If you are willing to diligently look for a solution to any problem, you will find it. Now, here's an important note. While I was researching, and unbeknownst to me, Kelly Meyer, our dear friend and member of our team, she also discovered Barbara's story while doing her own research. I didn't know this till later, but Kelly actually wrote some of the council members, including Councilman Menino, and she asked if they were willing to postpone vacating the property and selling it to Scientology, just wait on that until they could first hear a compelling idea from someone like Barbara Story Love of the Clearwater African American Foundation. But no one responded to her request. I found all of this out later, and it confirmed to me that, you know what? If I'm thinking about it and Kelly's thinking about it, we should pursue a partnership with Miss Barbara, which leads me to lesson number 4. Do not move forward with an idea until you receive confirmation from others. Barbara's story lit a fire in me and our whole team. I did the research, I verified the history, I vetted Barbara's background and reputation, and she vetted us as well. And then with clarity and conviction, Kelly and I reached out to her and invited her to co-create a new proposal with us, one that would honor the history of the garden and provide an inspiring, community-driven use for that street. That leads me to lesson number 5. Step out and find out. You never know who will work with you until you simply ask. It was April 3rd, the very day the council was expected to vote 3-2 to vacate Garden Avenue and sell it to Scientology. That's when we submitted our proposal at the final hour. And miraculously, Councilman David Albritton made a motion to delay the vote, giving the city and our team time to refine our proposal. I cannot tell you what a good man David Albritton is. He truly is. He truly wants what is best for the people, and I've seen it. He agonizes over his decisions. He gave us the time that we needed to gain momentum. So we met with the city manager and with each council member to gather feedback of our proposal. We launched a website, savethegarden.org, produced short documentaries. We hosted live events to rally supporters. We collected over 1,000 petition signatures. Not only that, but we generated media attention across Tampa Bay and beyond. And in a short time, Save the Garden became a major movement in our city and garnered tremendous support. That leads me to lesson number 6. Our city has good people on the city streets and in the city seats. Many have told us that they are amazed at how much we've accomplished in such a short time. But not everything went smoothly? Miscommunication caused some African American leaders to feel excluded from the initial vision, or maybe they feared that city funds meant for their project might be redirected towards ours. And this led a few to write letters to the city council opposing our plan. And as soon as we learned of this, our team reached out. We scheduled meetings and we listened to their concerns, and we worked hard to build unity. And thankfully, most of the conversations were productive. Once we were able to offer clarity, we turned most of our critics into allies. But unfortunately, a few organizations that receive funding from the Church of Scientology, they declined to meet with us, and they remain in opposition to us this very day. It is these critics of ours, a couple of council members eagerly point to as, evidence of our group causing problems in the African American community, also implying that we are using the African American people as pawns to block the Church of Scientology from acquiring this land, when in fact we have always clearly communicated our intent. we don't want the city to give up the land. And in the event the city gives up the land, it is within our rights as citizens to submit an alternative proposal. And our friend Barbara Sori Love was the only one who offered an alternative vision for that street. And so our group simply supported her to make that happen. So let me just take a moment to address these accusations. To suggest that my team and I are deceitful manipulators, that's flat out wrong. Anyone who spends time with us knows that we are the real deal. We are sincere to the core. And to suggest that Miss Barbara Sori Love and others in the African American community are easily manipulated by us, well, that's an insult to their intelligence. This is a very low view of high quality people, which leads me to lesson number 7. When people slander you, let them. So here we are now with quite a turn of events. On the day that City Council is supposed to vote, Church of Scientology backs out of their initial street vacation request, which according to the city, nullifies all alternative proposals. And the selling of the street now off the table until the Church of Scientology regroups and tries again, which they will. It's like when you were a kid and you were playing basketball with one of your friends that was not very good at playing. And when he knows he's losing, right before your victory, he says, I quit, and he takes his ball and goes home. That's what Scientology is doing. So you know what happened though? We accomplished our first objective. We stopped the city from vacating this public land. The pressure of our campaign applied, and the courage that David Albritton, Vice Mayor Lena Teixeira, and Mayor Bruce Rector showed, well, that caused the Church of Scientology to fold. Our next step is to immediately work with the city to secure a 100-year lease on a portion of South Garden Avenue through a public-private partnership. This is what we included in our proposal. We never wanted them to give up and sell this public land. We would be elated to simply lease it from them and install the Garden Memorial, which is the entrance to a mile-long memorial walkway throughout downtown that we are designing. It's an interactive multimedia experience that tells the story of old Clearwater. We believe that this project can be a source of deep healing for our city. There's real pain surrounding the loss of our downtown to the Church of Scientology, and we see our initiative as a godsend, an opportunity to preserve land and honor a shared history. We are committed to staying the course and completing the task before us. The story of Clearwater deserves to be told and remembered. Hey, thank you for following and supporting our efforts to save the garden.
All right. Thank you, Brooks. That is absolutely terrific. So there's some things I wanted to point out here. He should be the next mayor. It'd be nice if he ran. I don't know a lot about Brooks, except he is a public speaker. He does a lot of motivational talks. I saw one just before coming on here. He was giving to a high school group, and he's good at that type of stuff. Here, let me just remove that. Thank you. I did it. I removed it. There's a comment here that popped up that I want to go back to. I don't think this is the one, but it is one that I wanted to address. Lily says, Mark, did you see I posted Save the Garden should ask for a billion-year contract? I like that. So Brooks is talking about a 100-year contract to lease the street. And that's not unusual. Back in 2000, when I first moved to Clearwater, at that point, the city was going to lease the entire downtown to an out-of-town developer for 99 years for $1 a year. And there was there was a newspaper article in the then St. Pete Times, before they became the Tampa Bay Times. And I remember vividly the article had they had done a survey. And of the people in the area, 66% of the respondents said it would only help Scientology redevelop the downtown. And a troubling 100% of the people said even if it was redeveloped, they still wouldn't come downtown. I thought that was a little troubling. And I went to a few public meetings that were held on the issue. And I would bring that up. And they didn't like that I'd bring that up. In fact, at one point, one of them, I got the microphone and I started to ask a question. And the guy who was moderating it took the mic away and said, we do not want religious bigotry in any of this. And what, just went on like that. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to move over here to the front. And I'm just going to make sure that everyone was aware that I still wanted to talk. And eventually he gave it back to me with that, we don't want religious bigotry. And I said, well, frankly, I'm insulted that you bring up religious bigotry simply because I'm going to mention the Church of Scientology. And I brought up the survey, and the folks, the developers said, we think once it's developed, now is Scientologists, they're the only ones you see walking through the streets. Once we have tens of thousands of people down here shopping and dining and all that, they're just going to blend in. You're not going to notice them. And indeed, that's essentially the case in Los Angeles. Because there's a fair amount of Sea Org members who are walking around the streets of Hollywood Boulevard and Sunset, and it is not as noticeable as it is in Clearwater. And that's a kind of a pie in the sky hope for Clearwater. And then the town had to vote on whether to do this 99-year lease, and the people of Clearwater voted no. We don't want to do that. Looking back at it now, if that had happened, it's possible that we would have a revitalized downtown. And to the extent that my questions had any type of impact, now, I don't think it had a major impact. It just made some people uncomfortable at the meetings, but there weren't that many people who actually saw the meetings or were at the meetings. But I mean, at that point, they were talking about bringing in a movie theater, and so be interesting to see what could have happened from that. And that's why when I was on the council then in the last 4 years, from 2020 to 24, when we had a chance to revitalize the downtown through bringing in 400 apartments and a hotel and retail and beer garden and a amphitheater to bring thousands of people down to our waterfront park. I leapt at that chance to, let's make some progress here. Let's develop despite Scientology. And to a certain extent, it's working. We haven't seen the apartments go up yet. We haven't seen the hotel and the beer garden and all those things that are going to be a major change. Those will be happening in the next few years. It's always sad to see how slow things take in government. When we can do things ourselves, like we approve making the changes to the park or building the amphitheater, we can get that done on our timetable. When we have out-of-town developers say, okay, we're going to put up the 400 apartments, well, then that takes longer. Same way, Scientology should be able to accomplish anything as quickly as the city, because they've got all the money they need in the bank. All they have to do is say no, and they should be able to create something. Like right now, our city hall, we started that a couple of months ago. By later this year, we're going to have a new city hall opened. In contrast, these 3 buildings that they've been touting on Cleveland Street that Scientology's refurbishing, they've been working on it for 2 years now, and those 3 buildings are still not ready to go. I'm digressing, and I may be boring you to tears with all this. But let me go back here to the comments. There we go. There we are. Now I've lost track of what I was talking about. But anyway, I wanted to bring up a couple of the things that Brooks mentioned. Brooks had been talking about the fact that there was this division created within some of the folks in the North Greenwood community who wrote letters opposing the Save the Garden project. And those people are people who are getting money from Scientology or those organizations. And somebody asked if there was a man who might be involved with orchestrating that. I guess I shouldn't name him because we don't know for sure whether he is. But when I ran for office in 2020, there's this fellow who looked a lot like the third Doctor Who. This big shock of white hair and a weathered face, and he had been in politics for a long, long time, ever since the Kennedy period. And when I ran for office, he was running around shopping for another candidate to go up against me. And I know this because Kathleen Beckman, who served with me on the council, she ran for seat 3 and I ran for seat 2. Early on, he approached Kathleen and said, I've got all the money you need to win, and I've got a solid voting block of people who will vote for you. I'll run your campaign, but there's only one condition. You have to run for the seat that we ask you to. And Kathleen said, no thanks, and then told me about it. And this was a person who was trying to find somebody to run against me. Luckily, before that, I had already met Kathleen at political events, and we were getting up to introduce ourselves to some voters and give our little 5-minute pitch. And she impressed me immediately with what she was saying. And I told her, listen, you decide which seat you want, 2 or 3, and I'll run for the other one. Even though my team was saying, no, you've got to run for this particular seat. And she wants to run for it. I'll win, whatever it is, I'll win or not. And I won, and she won, which was, the outcome that I was hoping for. Well, she didn't take him up on this offer to have this voting block. But this guy went on to find another late entry into the campaign. And that was Alicio Santana, who was the one person during the campaign who ripped into me for talking about Scientology, and was saying things like, I have hate in my heart, which I don't. I have a general dislike of cults, but I don't hate anybody. Um, and this guy who was the campaign manager was sitting with all of the people who were heckling me in the one. Well, there are two meetings where they heckled me. There's one that's on videotape. That's pretty blatant. And it was a team of like 5 Scientologists, I think, and this guy who all piled into the car together afterwards and drove off together. But people have been speculating that perhaps he is involved with, drumming up some opposition to the Save the Garden. And the other thing that came to mind with all of this is I knew from my first campaign that the one place that I could not really talk about Scientology was at the North Greenwood debate or forum. They weren't called debates, they were forums where we all had a chance to answer questions. And this was at the Martin Luther King Jr. Rec Hall. And I did my introduction and talked about Scientology, and the whole place just booed and shut me down. And the moderator was saying, "No, we don't want to talk about religion here." Okay. So anytime I would mention it, man, I got drowned out with the boos. And afterwards, there were a couple of people came up to me and said, "Okay, when we needed a new roof on the center here, it was Scientology who came here and did that. Where were you?" Which is a valid point. And part of safe pointing. I mean, that's exactly why Scientology does this stuff. So that if you say something negative about Scientology, there'll be some people out there in the community backing you up. And I don't mean that to be a callous or, you give us money and we'll say nice things about you. No, I think it's the fact that, okay, they actually came and did something for that community. So I can't blame them for that. Also, in the final forum that we had, which was an actual televised debate that year, I finished, and there was a guy who came up to me very impassioned afterwards and ripped into me about my feelings on Scientology. Black fella, and his little boy was there. His little boy, probably about 7 years old, watching the whole thing. And I said, I said to the man, "I understand what you're saying. I'd be happy to sit down and talk with you at any point." And he just, continued to rip into me and then left. And a couple minutes later, his little boy came up to me and said, "Good luck with the race." And I said, "Well, thank you. And you have a really, really good father." And that was it. And then I got together with that guy afterwards. And he said, "Yeah, my son said that." And so, we got together and we had lunch, and that's when we found out that, oh yeah, okay, that exchange was passed along. And then I tried helping him. I tried doing what I could for him, his family, and that neighborhood right there. So it's understandable when somebody is, somebody is, accepting the party line. Doesn't mean that they see into your heart, as Ryan would have it, or Mike Menino. No one was seeing into anyone's heart. But at any rate, I wanted to share that. It just, it feels like this guy who ran that campaign probably did have some hand in it, but I don't know that for sure, which is why I'm not mentioning names. All right, let's see what we have here. There's more and more people talking here, I'm sure. Oh, look at this. Doesn't matter to you, not to me. Gifted 5 Xenu TV memberships. How about that? Everybody, I need some applause here. I need to push a button and have something spectacular happen. Let's see. What have I missed? Oh, somebody mentioned here, did I see that Joy Villa, I think is how she's pronouncing her name, left Scientology? Yeah, I watched a little of her video. I saw that Tony had posted about that. And I have to say that I've seen, just appearances of her on Fox News where was going down to Mar-a-Lago in her American flag dress or whatever, and knowing the kookiness of Scientology and her involvement with it, I never really paid much attention to her. I did watch the first 15, 20 minutes of her video, and she seemed like a sane person. and she has an interesting story. So I'll probably get to it at some point. And I'm happy she's out. 83 watching and only 56 likes. You're really pissing off Kelly. Come on, everybody. Hit that like button. And you was excused because I know you're watching on your TV. Okay, well, that's good. That's, people like me who didn't know that, we could be holding a grudge. So thank you, Kelly, for pointing that out. Let's see. Lily says, I think someone should figure out how many of their buildings have an active business in them. I bet it's a small percentage. It is an incredibly small percentage. But most of the buildings that they purchased did not have buildings in them, did not have business in them to begin with. There's a couple that they've chased away. I know there was a Scientologist woman who had a vegan restaurant. They bought that from her and made it life difficult for her to stay in town, so she left. But most of the buildings that they purchased have been empty for a while. That's not always true. They bought let's see, somewhere along the way they bought the Atrium building, which is another tower right across from where the city hall is. I do know they went in there and made things difficult for businesses and told them, you got to get out of here. I also know they went in there and tried to have somebody fired because they were critical of Scientology. So they do put pressure on. But of the buildings that are down there, there's only a handful that actually have working restaurants, like Downtown Pizza and Clear Sky, the Mexican restaurant, Tequilas. I think there's one other on that block. All of those are owned by Moises Agami, Scientologist. And if he's allowing people to run their businesses, I have no complaints. Let's see here. I knew these organizations were getting from Scientology, says AT Chick, and that's why the one guy stopped short of claiming that Brooks' team was taking bribes. How about that? Scientology gives money to people in Greenwood. Well, it can only go so far. And most of the money that I'm aware of is going to things like fixing up the MLK Center. And I'm glad somebody's doing it. Edgar Winters, I'm not sure exactly what that was about. Why is Clearwater so worried about what's in everyone's heart? They need to safeguard their own and stop worrying about everyone else's. Missy B and Seth D, glad that you got together on that one. And Steve says, Miss Clearwater is notorious for nosy cardiologists. And I have to find one of those. I need a new cardiologist. So if I can find a nosy one, that'll probably be good for me. Okay. All right. So getting up to the newest comments here. Would the council consider leasing to the Save the Garden Street? Well, Linda, I mentioned this earlier. I don't think so. I'm sure they'd want to work with Save the Garden on this greater project. They're talking about a mile-long tribute, walking museum. I think the city should and must get involved in that. Whether it's going to encompass this one block of garden where Scientology is trying to own it, I'd say that probably it would be difficult for the city to say to Scientology, no, we don't want to sell the street, but we're going to let this other group use it. And frankly, I think it kind of tarnish the mile-long museum to have smack dab in the middle of L. Ron Hubbard Park. My feeling is Scientology is going to make that entire campus radioactive. So do something really wonderful and constructive away from that. And don't sell Garden Street to Scientology to make the area even more radioactive. Allow people to keep driving down that, except when there's an event, in which case they can get event permission to do the valet parking on that street. But it should remain a public street. So I think there's going to be a compromise that way. Save the Garden Street has accomplished great things, and they can do even more. I don't know that it needs to be on that block. And this is not the same as Mike Menino and Ryan Cotton saying, isn't there a better place for it? Shouldn't it be in North Greenwood? Why do you want to have it there by the Scientology building? They almost sounded like Clem Gittlehopper. I don't think they sound like that. Hey, why put it there? Clem Gittlehopper is the same as Bullwinkle J. Moose. I told this story before, but in case you weren't here for that, Bullwinkle, when Rocky and Bullwinkle were first on in early 60s, I think it was, they were prime time on ABC, and they had a little puppet Bullwinkle that did did little segues between the cartoons, and Bullwinkle would read letters from the audience, and at one point he got sued by Red Skelton. Jay Scott, the guy behind the creator of Rocky and Bullwinkle, was being sued because Red Skelton thought that Bullwinkle sounded too much like Gittlehopper, and sent a threatening legal notice to them. And so Bullwinkle read that on the show. We heard from Red Skelton, who says that I sound too much like Clem Gittlehopper. That's ridiculous. I will now do my impression of Clem Gittlehopper. Hello, I'm Clem Gittlehopper. See, there's a world of difference. And then dropped his lawsuit. And that's the way you handle legal threats. So we have a request for Bullwinkle to say, I'm not saying the people were tricked, but I'm going to strongly suggest that. And yeah, that is what I meant to suggest, but it's not demeaning. All right, that's probably not the best Bullwinkle reading of that. Unfortunately, I can't do Droopy Dog, really. Hello, I'm Droopy Dog. It's not a good Droopy Dog. I love Droopy though. Hello, folks. No, I'm not doing my Bugs Bunny. Stop begging me. Stop begging me to do Bugs Bunny, for God's sake. What's that? Oh, no one's begging me to do Bugs Bunny? Oh, well. It's a shame. I love doing Bugs Bunny. Okay. Well, I think I said everything I was planning to say on this. Nope. 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 You can't bribe me. Nope. Be very, very quiet. I'm hunting rabbits.
Oh, brother, ain't no but.
And forget it.
Are you telling me that this land over here is better than that land over there? Oh, I don't know. Take a look at this land over here.
Okay, that's a deep cut. Unless you know what Robin Hood Rabbit, I forget what it's called. I may not remember that one. Okay.
I knew I should have taken that left turn at Albuquerque.
Bugs Bunny is the role model for modern man. He is who we want to be. Daffy Duck is who we are.
We are despicable.
All right. Well, see, it's getting late, and I'm getting delirious. So I think we should wrap this up. What do you think? A nice tight 1 minute, 1 hour, 7 minutes, 15 second show. That's all you need. Osa is going to use clips of this in a really, really awkward way. How about that?
Ain't I a stinker? Oh, brother.
All right. No, I can't. I don't do Porky Pig. Somebody else is going to have to do that. Oh God, you sound like Dad. Thank you, Mark. It's been since 2020 since he's been here to make me smile with the voices. Well, I'm glad I can help you out there. JB808, nice seeing you as well. Burp. Kelly, thank you for all the hard work you do keeping this thing going. Everybody, bow down before Kelly. Praise her with all you can. And don't forget, what am I supposed to say? Like, subscribe, click the bell, all that stuff that you're supposed to do. I'm trying to create a nice, I don't have one of those 30-second outs that tells you how to do all those things. I'm working on it, though. I'm working on it, and it'll be spectacular once it's finished. Believe me. All right. Unfortunately, Mel Blanc does not live. Mel Blanc died a long, long time ago. No one can do what Mel Blanc did, although there are people who are very, very good, much better than I am. I did take a look at some of this new Looney Tunes movie that came out. And it's one guy who's doing the voices of both Daffy and Porky, and he's doing a great job. It was sad, you know. I loved Mel Blanc. Mel Blanc was a giant, and it was sad as he was getting older that he couldn't quite do the voices still. And I hate to say it, but I watched The Simpsons recently, and there's another guy on there. I don't even want to mention his name, but it's like, oh, it's okay. He's not able to do the voices that he did so spectacularly well. And I'm not okay. I'm not going to even mention that anymore. I'm sorry I brought it up. It's I guess this is somebody that I admire greatly. All right. So I should have got out when I said I would, and I'm going to do it. I'm leaving right now, everybody. You have a great night, and I will see you again probably tomorrow. We'll see. Whiskey and I are going to be doing something together soon. That's happening. No, it's not Steve is not the same guy. I won't mention who was involved with the campaign. No, he is not. He does not do any voices for The Simpsons. All right. All right. I'm getting sucked into more comments. It's been fun, everybody. See you next time. Bye.
What are your crimes, Mark? Yes, what are your crimes, Mark? Your crimes are hidden, they should be seen. Spin all out, Mark, and just come clean.